Some things just go together. Wine and cheese, flowers in springtime, and yes, books and bottles. We pair your favorite author with your favorite drink. Your host of Books and Bottles, Vivian Johnston.
Hi, and welcome to Books and Bottles, your show where we introduce you to your favorite author, his or her work, and we pair with wine or spirit. I'm your host, Vivian Johnston. I'm excited to be back this week. This is season 3, and we have some amazing folks for you to meet. So this year, as I told you in the first 2 episodes, I am taping our show from a good friend restaurant, Chef Rock Harper, and the restaurant, or the bar, I should say, is called Hill Prince Bar, and it's right here in Washington, D.C. at 1337 H Street, H as in Henry, H Street Northeast. It's a super cool bar, has a good vibe, great energy. Come on in and tell the head bartender, his name is Felix. Tell Felix I sent you. So if you're in DC, you go through DC. If you know where DC is on a map, I need you to come into this space. So today we have a really phenomenal author with us today, and I am still reading her book or listening to. I have her book on Audible for those who are as busy as me, and you need to be in your car all the time. The book is on Audible, which is a good thing. But I only have about an hour and a half left, so I'm kind of feeling it. I'm got the rush. I'm trying to hurry up and get back in my car so I can listen. So today I have the author of the book called Reflections, Miss Natash Hughes Smith.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you.
Welcome to Books and Bottles. So I want to tell our listeners or our viewers to share, because this is going to be a fun conversation. So they need to share it. If you're watching now, just share with your friends. So look, let me tell you. As I said, I listen to a lot of the books. If the books are on Audible, I listen in my car because I drive around a lot. So I have had, I know the folks that are looking at me driving, they're like, what in the world? Because when I'm listening to your book, the facial expressions are like, it's like you go from mad to happy to sad to you want to fight. It kind of takes you all over the place. So I need to know what were your emotions, and like what were you going through when you were writing this book? Because as I said, the book is a roller coaster.
Yes, it's been called that before. Actually, the basic premise of this story was a dream I had back in 2008. I was laid off from work, and I was trying to get back in touch with things that I enjoy doing, which is storytelling and writing. And so I thought, oh, this is a pretty good idea here. Let me try to write this down, make this into a novel. But I got back to work very quickly. And so I had just started like the very beginning of it, the very basics of it. And so it sat unfinished for 12 years. And then the pandemic happened. And I said, well, I have no more excuses now. I have all this free time. And so I wrote the majority of the book during the pandemic in 2020 and published it in November 2020.
So folks know on this show that we don't tell the book because we want our viewers to purchase the book, right? So we will not tell you the story. But I will mention one character. His name's Jeff. Mm-hmm. And so Jeff makes you, at one side of Jeff, you want to root for him. The other side of Jeff is like, come on, dude, this is straight trash behavior, so it's like, Jeff has your whole soul in a tug of war. So where did you create this guy?
Well, a little bit of Jeff was in me as far as how he felt about his career. During that time, I had gone through a lot of layoffs, and I felt like I've done everything right, gone to the best of schools, done what they say you're supposed to do to have success. And I was laid off, had not had success. And so I made that Jeff story. And so Jeff took that frustration, made some decisions that he kind of crossed some lies or some gray lines, some lines.
Some lines, girl. Jeff went all over. Jeff broke all the laws.
He made things happen for himself since he couldn't do it according to the system and use the system to do it the traditional, maybe the right way. He took matters into his own hands.
Okay, so as I said in the intro, I still have about 90 minutes of listening to go. So I'm going to finish it today. So before the show airs, that book will be in the past. So tell me about you. Tell us about how you got into being an author. What's your background?
Well, my background is human services. That's what I've done as a career. I've also worked as an educator with children. But the bulk of my career has been helping families. So it has nothing at all to do with what I'm writing about. But I do have always loved storytelling, even like verbal storytelling as a child. Would do the oral storytelling with cousins and nieces and nephews. So that's just been something, I guess, in my DNA. I love writing, I love researching. So I even incorporate some of that in my writing, researching different historical facts and nuggets that I splice into the stories.
So you mentioned what you do, which is a very demanding field. I have a sister who's a social worker, so I know that takes up a whole lot of your life. And so you've still found time to write this book and some others. So,
Yes.
The balance, what's the balance?
Well, Reflections, I was on a mission to finally get that out. I felt like the story was too great for me to continue to sit on it. And so, like I said, I had no more excuses. They were out the window. So every day after work, I was writing, trying to get this work completed. And once I did that, it's like I didn't want to leave the family. It's like I really enjoyed the families. And I thought of a line that John Barrington told Jeff, that their wealth was built on the foundation of lies. So I started thinking, well, what could those lies be? And that's when I wrote the prequel, which is Wealth of Lies. It takes place in 1955.
So you said you do so with the balance thing, I just want to say, I was reading this book too. As I was listening to your book, I kind of listened to multiples. So this other book I was listening to is called Unscripted. And he said, if you want success, balance is bullshit. So I hear what you say. You had to work, but you had to spend all this time to write these books. So kudos, because this book is amazing. So kudos to you.
Thank you so much.
So you mentioned the historical aspect. And so what I noticed firsthand was that the family, I can't think of Vincent's last name, it starts with a B, but they were connected. The Barringtons were this very wealthy family that kind of is a stream in the book. The Barringtons are important. But in the beginning, the Barringtons were connected with the Vanderbilts, and you talked about the Vanderbilts and the railroad, which is true. So I was going to ask you, how much do you weave in actual facts or things that are real with your writing?
That was the gist of it with Reflections. I did a little bit more in Wealth of Lies because it did take place in 1955. So I mentioned some of the local places and Black Bottom, Paradise Valley areas in Detroit that are no longer in existence, that were places of entertainment where Blacks and other minorities thrived. Della Reese, I mentioned her in the story because she's a Detroiter and she used to perform at one of the clubs. So I just try to give little tidbits of history, and then hopefully if someone is interested, they'll study it more and perhaps even want to come to Detroit to see more of our city.
I like that. So I have to give away just this little piece, and this is the beginning. It's like very early in the book. And so I know a lot of times when we women, we read things, we're motivated by, this is a word I'm making up, histivity. It's like we get pissed off and it motivates us. So when that guy that she was in, he was proposing and he intentionally bought the ring a size too small and told her that this should be her motivation for losing weight. Girl, my head went around like 14 times. Like this was one of my girlfriends telling me that this is what your man did. So, ladies out there, if you buy this book for no other reason, you know what kind of man this woman is engaged to. So you mentioned, Natasha, that Jeff, who becomes like the central feature or a central figure in this book, I should say, and he's a part of you. Who do you draw from, like real circumstances or things that you've experienced to add into your book? Oh, not just you, but things that your friends may have experienced.
No, it generally was just based on, the dream that I had, but I want my characters to be relatable. And so I thought Jeff having that background would be a good motivating factor for him to want to make the changes that he made and for him to be so willing to do something so drastic. So it's like I have them graduating from, well, not them, I have Vivian graduating from my high school. So I have a little bit of me.
So you're from Detroit?
From Detroit, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so just little things like that. And so
you do a really good job of giving us, a feel of what it's like to be in Detroit. You describe landmarks and, things that you see. You do a fantastic job. And as I mentioned, I listen to the books because I'm on Audible. I haven't held the book in my hand. And so when I'm listening, I'm taken on a journey. So you have done a fantastic job of sucking me and other readers all the way into the story. So this is a series, huh?
Yes. It started off with reflections, and like I said, I just fell in love with the character so much that I just didn't want to leave the family. So I decided to write Wealth of Lies, which is the prequel that takes place in 1955 about Vincent Barrington's grandfather, Bernard Barrington, his life story. And as I said,
so that's sort of a prequel to Reflections.
Yes, it's a prequel.
Okay.
So it's dealing with the same family, but different characters. It gives you an understanding of why what happened in Reflections was so receptive.
Okay.
So it's based on the foundational lies that had already been previously set.
Yes.
That comes to life within that story. And so it's a great series, and from there I wrote the third one, which is Bianchi. If you remember that name, that's the mob family that's mentioned in Reflections. Ricky Bianchi is the best friend of Bernard Barrington. He's mentioned in Wealth of Lies, and so then I give him his own novel, which is just titled Bianchi, and that takes place in 1970. So
I did see that one on Audible today. So when I finish Reflections, I'll go back and read Wealth of Lies and then Bianca. So we're going to put a pin in it because I know it's something else after Bianca, right?
Yes, after Bianchi is Selfless Love, which will be released in October. The audiobook could be a wait because Gail Washington is the voice actor that I use. She's part of the union. So once that gets situated, then she'll be able to record the audio for Selfless Love.
Cool beans. So just hang out with us for a second because I need to take a sip of wine. And with that, we're going to bring on one of the, how do I describe this guy? He's just so amazing. He's one of the pillars of Live from the Cave, and he works very hard in marketing for Wine Crawl. So I'd like to introduce my friend, Mr. Robert Hazard.
Man, what an intro.
Yes, and you are, the Live from the Cave cannot exist without you. So I don't care what the other people say.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm trying to tell them, Benita. I'm trying to tell them they need me, or otherwise there would be no show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Don't tell Mel I said that though.
Or Sean. Don't tell Sean I said that. So we might have to edit that out. But it is a
so thank you.
Thank
you for taking the time to come on Books and Bottles. We both are active parts of Wine Crawl, which was founded by Glenn Murray in 2012. And which is now in 16 cities. And I know you're a big part of the marketing efforts to get us more sponsorships, more exposure, and just to make this a whole worldwide organization. So thank you and kudos for all you do.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm super excited about a number of the things that we're doing in Wine Crawl. And as you said, 16 cities. I keep pushing, Glenn and others so that we can have more cities and more sponsors like yourself to be able to do this.
So I don't know if you know my grown up plan. Like when I grow up, all I want to do is fly around the world and host wine crawls for the organization. So I'm putting it in the universe because it's your job to make that happen for me.
That's what I do. I make stuff happen.
Make dreams come true.
So yeah, and I don't know, do you want me to talk about what we've got on the horizon?
So I want you to tell our listeners what is Wine Crawl, and then I want to get into this new piece we have called Tastemakers.
Sure. So Wine Crawl is all about Glenn's vision of creating an experience. As you mentioned, we started this in 2012, and it was just something that was birthed based off of taking a few people to Napa Valley. People wanted to go and experience champagne and wine and things like that, but it was all about an experience like no other. So certainly what Glenn has done in his vision is to provide limo service because we were just in Napa actually a couple months ago, and we provided limo service, for the people that came. And it's all about creating a unique experience, unlike what you might see if you go down to some of the restaurants and just sample wine on your own. But it's all about a community. It's all about like-minded people. And right now, people are traveling and spending money on various bottles of wine, and because it's all about an experience. So that's our goal, is to create that experience. Right now, we are blowing up. I have to give it to the event managers in Houston. We're blowing up in Houston.
And as a franchise owner, I'm the franchisee of the DC Wine Crawl, and I kind of, DC is, 10 by 10, but I kind of expand, to wherever we need to be to have a wine crawl presence. But Wine Crawl is like a destination without spending a lot of money and leaving your city. So, we create experiences that allow people to kind of, you feel like you went somewhere. You really had a good time. I mean, when you come to one of my wine crawls, I'm not even sure you know where you are when you finish. So you're wherever.
Well, you know what? I have to agree with you, because when I was able to, gracious your presence with being in DC, I mean, that was an amazing event, right? And it ended with the rooftop there. So, I mean, if for those who have not experienced your wine crawls, they really need to experience, because it is an experience, from the fact that you talk about the various wines and in the pairing of the food and things like that. Because it's more than that, right?
Yeah.
It's more than just, a bottle of wine, but it's about the experience as it relates to, the food pairing, because as you've done that, and you've talked about the various pairing of the food and what goes with what, and lamb chops for this and this type of wine. So, I mean, we're not talking about just burgers and fries. We're talking about, filet mignon in some cases, right?
Yes.
And all of those kind of things. So, so it's definitely experience where, women can get together we have, events that women want a girls' night out.
Yes.
What better way, and I'm going to talk about DC for a second. What better way to do it in DC where we've got, we can go to the
There's so many options.
Yes. So thank you for putting those together. And I hope that you.
So yeah, we just kind of curate that experience for you.
Yes.
So recently, Wine Crawl launched its rendition of sort of a membership experience called Tastemakers. So can you tell our viewers what Tastemakers is?
So Tastemakers, as you said, is an exclusive. It's an exclusive experience. It kind of goes with, tasting the experience, because that's what Wine Crawl is all about. But it's something that we felt that members needed to be able to have something more than just, sit with us and talk about wine. But it's an exclusive membership only event where for as low as less than $100, you get to join us for some private, experience where we're talking about, because we're taking you, to places where you normally don't go, right? Napa Valley is a part of that experience. The Tastemakers does just that. Not only does it get you into a private event, but there's some other discounts that go with that, because people don't know. What's the travel situation for those people? Tastemakers makes it easy for you to have that experience. From discounts on not only wine, but hotels and restaurants and things like that you get to be a part of as just you, as a member. It's just you to be able to be a part of that. A 5-star restaurant, right? We don't want 2 and 3 stars. No Motel 6. Nothing wrong with Motel 6. Let me take that back. But it's a high-end type experience, and that's what Tastemakers is all about.
Yeah, so we want people to join Tastemakers because this gives you an opportunity to have those exclusive experiences at a low cost, high yield, I'll say, because I'm an accountant by birth, right? Low cost, high yield, we always want that, right? We want to pay a little bit of money, but we want this grand experience. And Tastemakers is that. So check out the website at winecrawl.wine and so see what that is. And so, as I mentioned, I'm the franchisee of DC. So I got DC stuff coming up. And DC includes DC, the DMV, including Virginia and Maryland. And then I stretch all the way out to Richmond and Virginia Beach until the boss tells me I can't, I'm gonna. So.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, I'm in Chicago. I'm in Atlanta now, but Chicago.
They have like 20 or 30 flights that fly in and out of Chicago and Atlanta to DC. So I don't even understand what you're saying.
And I know you've got some stuff on the books that I can't wait to come out.
I got some stuff.
Well, so yeah.
So thank you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So hang out with us for a second.
Sure. Absolutely.
Because I'm always thinking how to pull this Books and Bottles and these authors into the wine experience.
Well, I got some wine too.
Natasha, she can get here too. So Natasha, I gotta ask you, because so many folks who watch our show are aspiring authors. What's your discipline? Like, what's your process of getting a book out, getting a story out of your head onto paper?
Well, the first thing I always do is write my list of players, characters, do my outline, and just go from there and just try to dedicate as much time weekly to the process as possible.
They always say that character development is a challenging space. Like, because you almost, even if you don't tell the story of background, you kind of gotta, in your head, you gotta know their background to get them to who they are as adults.
Yeah.
So do you find character development to be a challenge?
When I'm writing out my list of characters, I start to think about, how I want those two main characters to be, and just jot, notes down there, and then just kind of flow with it. Sometimes I can stick to my outline, can stick to that original personality that I had in mind for the characters. So it's kind of a simple process for me. I'm not like some that may have, a lot of, detailed and process. I'm still a newbie, but I have lots of great stories in my head that I would like to, put on paper, and just try to keep to having some realistic, relatable characters.
So we've had some other authors on, and one of the common themes is that the characters speak to them. So do your characters talk to you? So you can that's how you develop your story, because they're telling you what they want to do.
Somewhat, I could be, like I said, I have that outline already set, but then I could be relaxing, and then the idea will come to me for the character, and then that's, implemented into the story. But yeah, I do kind of let I let the story kind of, lead me, guide me a little bit. I'm not very spiritual about it. But I just have some stories in me that I want to come out and be told.
Okay, I see you. Okay, so last thing, next story. The next story that's about to come out. Tell us the name and when.
Selfless Love is the 4th novel in the Reflection series, which will be released in October. It's about, just to give this quick, the Reflections takes place in present day, Wealth of Lies takes place in the past. So this Bianchi. Selfless Love brings us back to present day. It's about Shannon, who is the best friend of Vivian. And so she gets to tell her story. And it's a very somewhat typical story that we may have seen, experienced by, our sisters, girlfriends. But hopefully she'll have a happy ending and can get over some of those demons that try to hold her back, those doubts. Self-doubts that try to hold her back.
Well, I am definitely a fan of Miss Vivian's. I'm rooting for her, and I don't know exactly how Reflections ends yet. I'll know in probably 3 hours from now, but I'm rooting for her that she has an amazing ending. I am excited to read the other ones. So by the time Selfless Loves come out on Audible, because like I said, I'm in my car all the time. So I need to listen to these books. By the time it comes out on Audible, I'm going to be ready. I'm very excited for you. Thank you so much for being on the show. How can people get your books? Other than Audible, how can people get your books?
They can be purchased on Amazon, and they're available in the other formats, ebook, hardcover, and paperback. And if people want a signed copy, they can go to my Facebook, author Natash Hughes Smith. There's some links there where they can purchase a signed copy.
Well, I'll be hitting you up for my signed copy. So you'll hear from me in a second. So again, thank you so much. Robert Hazard, how does folks find out about Wine Crawl and what's coming up in the 16 cities?
Man, we've got some amazing things. And what I would encourage everyone to do is go to winecrawl.wine, sign up, and get text messages, opt in, so that you can know about all the amazing events that we have in DC and some of the other venues that we have. So we've got some great stuff. And then by then you can also you'll see Tastmasters on there as well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate both of you for being on the show. If you're an author and you'd like to be a part of Books and Bottles, please email me at info@grod.com. I love to have you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for sharing and continuing to support Books and Bottles. Until next week, cheers.
Join us, Indie TV, where you will see the talk shows, movies, drama, action, and comedy. Be the first and see it first. Sign up now